Hey, all, welcome to my channel. What can I say? I mean, honestly, the fact that, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, that for the Mets to at least have some hope, they've got to sweep the Athletics. They couldn't even beat them yesterday, which basically comes down to the point where I'm afraid it's showing what the Mets are capable of. Basically, when I say that, what I mean is basically when their hitters are hot, they're great, but when they're in a slump, that's it. Because like their pitching can only go so far, basically. Whereas let's remember in 2015 and even 2016, their bats weren't so great, but their pitching was what was the reason why they were always in these games, and that's the reason why they went into the World Series because of their pitching. We've known that defense gets you far. Defense gets you into the series. And the fact is like the Mets have no pitchers. Everyone's gonna say Senga, Senga, Senga. He's not an ace. Put him in any other team's rotation. He's not an ace. He is a back of the rotation guy. That's pretty much it. Severino. Everyone thought maybe he was an ace when he was with the Yankees, but look what happened. He's more of a back of the rotation type of guy. I mean, granted, yeah, he's doing decent right now. Manea, I think it's more of a case where like he has that 1 year deal that he needed that to basically show that hey, I am worth more. Reality is maybe he's not. The problem is like without hitting, they've got nothing, and like you can only and the fact is like you're gonna face a lot of teams with better hitters, as well too. And I hate to say this, but during that period of their run in June and parts of beginning of July, I think it was more so because of the fact that it was a little misleading because of the pitching that they were facing at that time. And the reason, and let's be honest, they had to come back a lot of those cases as well too. And the pitchers weren't really holding up to their end of the bargain, basically. Specifically, the relief pitching, the bullpen was like atrocious. I know, granted, Stearns tried to essentially improve the bullpen as much as he possibly could without sacrificing the future. And I commend him for it. It's like he didn't sacrifice that much. The only problem is if the Mets were expected to make the playoffs, then you have to trade some of those prospects for some players to get into the playoffs. Unfortunately, like the way the Mets did with Cespedes, they traded Fulmer and they got Cespedes, and of course, it launched them into the playoffs. Now, if this is the case, this could have been done here. It's possible, but quite honestly, as I've been saying for my prior videos as well as yesterday, the Mets should have been sellers. They should have been sellers. I think the fact is like at the end of this season, if the Mets don't make the playoffs, sorry, like the wild card spot, it people are going to look back and they're going to think it's like, oh, the Mets should have been sellers. I personally thought the Mets should have been sellers from the beginning. Sell off, trade Alonso, get some good prospects in return. Trade off Severino, get a prospect in return. Not a great prospect, but a decent enough prospect. Hell, they probably could have gotten someone basically to the point of, quite honestly, oops, sorry, my thing came out. Possibly, more so. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm thinking of like the R.A. Dickey trade where like they were going for Denard, but they got Syndergaard thrown in as a result. Like remember, Syndergaard wasn't the piece; it was Denard that was the main piece when they traded Dickey to them basically. Similar to how they got Wheeler, it was a trade for the fact is like that Wheeler was actually the main reason why they were trading for him basically. So for all we know is like if they traded Severino for like maybe a decent enough pitcher, he might become a star eventually. Who knows? So that's one of the things where I was hoping the Mets could get around by that. Or even Quintanas as well too. They could have traded Quintanas. They could have traded even Manea for that matter as well too. But I think they should have gotten some prospects. And you would have said, well, we would have sacrificed our season. It doesn't matter. Like looking at it now, the season's not worth it anyways. I honestly thought it's a win for the Mets if they break 500. If they break 500, it's a win in my book, quite honestly, because they were supposed to be competitive. They're not being competitive right now as we speak for the past. As I said, basically, the Mets were a couple of losing streaks away from getting out of playoff contention, and that's what's it's turning out to be that case. Um, is it too late now? I hate to say it, but it is. Honestly, if your friends like, well, like I know Pete Alonso is a homegrown talent, everyone loves him. I like him, but honestly, there's certain cases where I think I mentioned in yesterday's video, he's kind of an arrogant jerk, or I don't want to say jerk, but arrogant prick, quite honestly. Um, this guy's looking for big money. I don't think he's worth big money. He's not proving it otherwise. And the worst part is, towards the end of the year, towards the end of the season, I mean, he's probably going to pick up on his home run rates because he needs that 40 home runs just to justify that, like, to be Mr. $500 million man or $400 million man. Reality is, this is not a guy that's worth $30 to $20 million a year. He's not. $15 at most. That's at most I think you should pay for him, but that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, nothing more than that. Less would be better, of course. I think he's probably worth $10 million more than anything. Honestly, I think he's worth $10 million, but that's just me. And in any case, my thing is like, I think the Mets need to go for Soto. If they go for Soto, then you try to resign, of course, Alonso. But reality is, you get Soto, you could let Alonso go, and you have your prospects. Honestly, this is why I thought the Mets should have traded. Again, coming back to it, Mets have a good farm system now. Not a great farm system, but they don't have a good farm system when it comes to pitching. But they could have traded Alonso for some serious pitchers in return. And the other aspect is like, you're going to say, whoa, what about Scott and Soto? I mean, Scott and Buto. Proof's in the pudding. Until they pitch out and we see how they go, I don't think they're aces. They're probably middle of the rotation order type of people more than anything else. I mean, I would love to see if Buto becomes another Santana, Johan Santana. That would be perfect. It's like, let's not forget, Johan Santana started off in the as a reliever a little bit. They were trying to build him into the starter, and look what it is. If Buto can be that, I'll gladly wait for that aspect. Scott, I don't think so. Dave Peterson, I don't think he is or Miguel for that matter. I don't think they're your starters. They're more of like what they remind me of, like a Lugo and Heilman, basically, where they are great mid relievers, but I don't think they're good stars. Unless they can get past the sixth inning, I don't think they're good starters at this point. I mean, if they're good for 5 innings, you might as well bring him in as mid relievers at that point, quite honestly, and then like as replacement starters in case someone goes down. But that's as far as it goes. Honestly, Senga, as good as he is, it looks like he's injury prone. Let's see what happens there. But in any case, this is only proving otherwise. I think the season is lost unless I'm hoping. Look, I would love for these teams when I'm ragging against them, like New York Giants, the Knicks, the Mets and Islanders. If the Mets can prove me wrong and make the playoffs, I will gladly eat my words. If they make the playoffs and they make a deep run too. I'll tell you what, if the Mets make a deep run into the NLCS, I will basically, I don't know what I'll do. I'll eat something. I'll figure out something at that point. I'll eat something. I was going to say I eat my hat, but I'm not going to eat my hat. I'll probably drink a shot of something nasty and disgusting. I don't know. But in any case, that's my take. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think the Mets still have a shot at making the playoffs? Or do you think the Mets, are pretty much it's done based on what we're seeing? I mean, if they can't take the series 2 out of 3 against the A's, I hate to say it, but it's a sad state basically. And then we've got to the Mets have to. I mean, here's where I knew the season was over for the Mets. When I went to the second game to the Angels series in Anaheim, the Mets lost, and then the next day they lost as well too. That's when I knew the fact that the Mets couldn't win that series is when I knew that the Mets have serious issues and it's going to be problematic down the road at that point. And everyone's going to say, well, look, they're only a game to 2 games behind the Braves for the last wild card spot. Yeah, it's great, but let's not forget the Braves are notoriously known towards the tail end of August and September to go on a massive massive streak, winning streak that is. And look at the way the Braves, not the Braves. Well, the Braves are winning a little bit here and there, but let's not forget the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Look where they're at. I mean, they're on a winning streak. So I don't think, unless the Mets somehow between now till mid-September go on a 25-1 run, this is not happening for the Mets. They're not making the playoffs. Let me know your thoughts. Again, I'll put it in the comment section. I do read my comments. I do respond to them when they warrant a response. If you like this content, please hit the like button or the like icon, so that if you want me to focus on this, that's great. I will focus on it more on sports more than anything else. If you like my channel, I do ask you, if you do like my channel, like my video, like my content, please hit the subscribe button or hit the subscribe button anyways, and just ignore me at that point anyway as well too. But in any case, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, and of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.